See, we got this little 2-ton, not doing too much of nothing.
Yeah, this is one I did at an Airbnb. If I recall, it was a bad compressor. Kept tripping the
Right here, the
breakers.
compressor's not pumping. I don't feel it's not cold here at all.
Yeah, like I said, if I don't remember correctly, but we're gonna find out together. I think this is one that kept on tripping fuses. Let's go with it.
Man, let's do what we do.
All right. So, like I said, we typically start this off with electrical, because that's the majority of the problems on the AC system.
LHVAC. I'm gonna tell you right now. See, first thing we gonna do before we even mess with Freon, we gonna check electrical. We gonna check electrical. Let me tell you why. Most AC fans are electrical. They don't have nothing to do with Freon. So
The first thing we're gonna do is amp out the compressor. We kind of get a good judge on the fan because the fan motor is already running, but we could just check the amps on that anyway, just for good measure. But we want to check the amps on this compressor because we know it's not running at all. So like we suspected, the compressor wasn't running at all. It amped nothing, 0 amps. So the first thing I'm gonna check now is I'm gonna go for the capacitor because a lot of times that's what it is. And actually, as I'm saying that, you can see in the video, I'm actually amping it out as I'm talking. So we finding out that the compressor it's not coming on. So we gotta dig deep into the system and find out why.
let's see what we working with. See, these are the charts. So you hear that buzzing? I'm gonna turn it off. I'm gonna do this the wrong way. I'm not gonna lie to you. You're supposed to use a resistor to drain this because it holds power. I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna hit it with these across the things. Let me go turn off this contactor. There's that button sign here. See it? See it? All right, let's turn this off.
Yeah, I'm always reminding y'all not to disengage the capacitor like that. It's just force of habit.
And this is doing what it's doing. Let's go ahead. Turn it in to go in the off position. Condenser about to go off. Let's go. Now the condenser I'm working with, it's off.
What I just did was just hit the thermostat in the off position to disengage the contactor so I could work better. Plus, you kind of want to do that because you don't want to blow that little 3 amp fuse on the board. And trust me, that's one of the easiest things you could do. Blow the 3 amp fuse on the board.
Reset. We're gonna check it.
So what I'm doing now is checking the capacitor. A lot of times, that's the culprit. So let's see what it is this time. Let's see what we got.
Let's see how easy this is. This diagnosis takes a couple seconds here, man. Look, so we going. I like the field piece. They talk that about that fluke, but whatever. Field piece ain't never let me down either. Look at this.
And to be honest, I'm a little brand loyal to a couple brands. DeWalt, Testo, Field Piece. But whatever you use that don't get you electrocuted, whatever you use that gets the job done, it's all good.
So, let's go common to harm. Look, 4.85 capacitor. That's it. That's it. See that quick diagnosis? They need a 40 by 5 capacitor. Quick diagnosis.
The capacitor was bad on this one, but if I remember correctly, I spoke too soon because there was a couple other things going on with this one as well. I guess I was feeling myself, spoke too soon, excited that I had came to a diagnosis that fast. But yeah, there was some other things not going right with this system also. I'm thinking we're going to get into some fuses next, if I remember what I'm looking at correctly. So anyway, Let's get to replacing this capacitor and see what the next thing is. So we ended up fast forwarding a little bit. We already changed the capacitor. We flipped the power on, and like I suspected, we tripped the fuse. So now I'm pulling the fuse. We about to run it for continuity. So this fuse appears to be good. That's one out of two. Let's check the other one. As I finish messing with this one, let's check the other one. So I'm fumbling and bumbling with this one, but this one appears to be bad. So we got one good one, one bad one, and bad capacitor so far. So as you can see, we're putting new fuses in this thing, in the disconnect box. We're gonna see what we got. If you heard it immediately upon inserting the disconnect, we tripped the fuses again. A lot of people attribute this to a bad compressor automatically, but I've seen it be the fan, and I've seen it be the compressor wiring harness too, not necessarily the compressor being grounded itself, or shorted itself, excuse me. So when it comes to these fuses, when it comes to which component is blowing these fuses, there's a couple ways I tried. I'll pull the wires to the fan, ohm those out, check them to ground. I'll do the same thing to the compressor. And sometimes I remove each separate component. Like I'll leave the fan wires unwired and run it. And if the compressor comes on and it doesn't trip the breakers, it's the fan. Sometimes I'll leave the fan wired and unwire the compressor. And if it runs just the fan, I know it's the compressor that's shorting the fuses. You know, but there's all kinds of ways to do it. When I say unwired, I just mean I'll take either the fan motor wires or the compressor wires off the contact in the capacitor. At this one, we found out that it was the compressor shorting the wires, though. I kind of already had a gist of that because when we got here, the fan motor was already running, so it was receiving power. Fan was coming on and it wasn't shorting nothing out. So again, we got 1 out of 2, ohming out good. Let's check the other ones, like a repeat. So we were in a situation where we had to end up checking the capacitor was bad, the fuse was bad. Come to find that the compressor was the cause of all of it. When I say definitively the compressor was the cause of the fuse going bad, the capacitor is another story. I won't say that the compressor caused the capacitor to go bad, but it was bad. Here again, we got one that ohmed out good, one that ohmed out bad for the second time. And since we already know that the fan was operating off these same fuses before we energized the compressor, we got a pretty good idea that it's the compressor shorting out these fuses. But there's ways that we could check this out, of course. I mean, I stated a lot of them previously.